Batman Arkham Knight is a 2015 action-adventure video game and the final installment in the Batman Arkham series. Just like the Harley Quinn's Revenge DLC episode for Arkham City, Paul Dini had nothing to do with this game's writing, but rather it was just written by the game's director Sefton Hill, with Ian Ball and Martin Lancaster, who also collaborated with Jeff Johns. The game also had something of a two-headed sword with the inclusion of the Batmobile, which has been turned into being able to transform into a literal tank used in urban warfare held on the 3 islands of Gotham. And it's used so much that people still complain about it to this day. Upon release, this game was also severely broken on PCs, but since I managed to stream my playthrough on a PC, the port has been properly fixed since then. Once again, Kevin Conroy was brought back as Batman, but at this point he started to sound like he's phoning it in. Some returning characters such as Commissioner Gordon, Oracle, Robin, and Scarecrow on the other hand were recast. Gordon is now voiced by Jonathan Banks from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, Oracle is Ashley Greene from Twilight, Robin is voiced by Matthew Mercer from Pick Any Anime You Want, and Scarecrow is now voiced by John Noble from Fringe and Elementary. Troy Baker, who voiced Robin in Arkham City, still returned to voice Two-Face here, but also to voice the title character, about whom I'm going to talk more about after the recap. The Joker died on January 30th and was cremated. 9 months later. Halloween's Eve, and a protest for indoor smoking leads to everyone at the diner losing their minds. Scarecrow takes credit over the incident, and decides to advertise his new magic mushrooms by telling everyone he is willing to share free samples for them. This causes most of Gotham's populace to flee from the city, and so the only ones left are those who want to get high, along with Batman and the GCPD as designated drivers meant to clean up the place afterwards. The pre-party has gotten some new tweakers to arrive to Gotham, who are supposed to help Scarecrow distribute his magic mushrooms, and Batman is asked to make them stop while driving under the influence. Batman stops the DUI with the Batmobile, and makes the drunk driver tell him where he got the drugs. Batman sends the drugs for analysis to Oracle, and then heads to the address he got from the driver. There, he ends up fighting Poison Ivy, whom Scarecrow's people have forced into wearing her old Arkham inmate jumpsuit. Batman takes out the thugs and then moves on to taking Poison Ivy to the GCPD for protection. At the GCPD, Batman walks in on Commissioner Gordon yelling at the National Guard for doing a poor job on war on drugs, and after putting Poison Ivy into a containment chamber, is given 3 incident reports from Gordon and Aaron Cash, who has joined the force. First, Batman goes to look into what the Riddler has been doing, and finds an underground racetrack full of Riddler's hot air. After that, he goes to rescue a firefighter who tells him that his whole team is missing and taken captive. And then Batman finds the reason why this game was rated M for mature. After examining the corpse left hanging and making a mental note to follow the opera music, Batman goes to ask Oracle if she has managed to find anything from the drugs. No, but they then decide to look into how the drugs are made, and after repurposing the Batmobile to power up some antennas, Batman changes into a new suit while the technology tells him where Scarecrow's magic mushrooms are growing. According to the antennas, they are at Ace Chemicals, which has been vetted previously, but now it's occupied with Scarecrow's people and some guy with daddy issues. According to Commissioner Gordon, Ace Chemicals still has a skeleton crew that Batman needs to prioritize on. When rescuing the first one he finds alive, Batman is confronted by Scarecrow's partner, who talks to Batman like an ungrateful middle child.
Always defending the weak and the helpless. That's what I like about you. Predictable. And that's why we're gonna win. We know your move before you do. We know how you think!
With the Batmobile, Batman is able to rescue the first worker alive, and learns that Scarecrow is going to use Ace Chemicals to blow his magic mushrooms to the entire east coast of the United States. After getting the worker to Commissioner Gordon, Batman goes deeper into Ace Chemicals, only to find one out of the 3 workers still alive, and has to fight an army of drones and a helicopter to get the lone survivor to safety. With the workers safe, Batman moves in to confront the Scarecrow, who boldly doesn't give a fuck, up until Batman shoves his face onto the console. Then Scarecrow tries to distract Batman by telling him that his people have found and captured Barbara Gordon. Scarecrow then uses this chance to escape when Batman is distracted trying to warn Oracle. And then neither Batman or Alfred tries to call Robin, who is stationed near her, to make sure she is safe. Knowing what Scarecrow was working on, Batman focuses on creating a neutralizing agent to reduce the blast radius by 75%. Ultimately, the effects of the magic mushrooms begin to affect him so much that Batman begins to see dead people and faints. While unconscious, Batman has a dream from Commissioner Gordon's visit to his remote Batcave in the abandoned movie studios, where he has imprisoned 4 people infected from the events of Batman Arkham City.
What is this place? Who are these people?
Before it killed him, Joker sent his infected blood out to all the hospitals in the state.
I know, we tracked it all down.
We missed some.
How?
Hospital errors. Transfusions that went unrecorded. 5 people were affected. Untreated, the blood's gestated too long. It's altering them. They're becoming...
Joker.
It's a form of Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, but mutated beyond anything on medical record.
Batman then wakes up to only Ace Chemicals about to blow up thanks to the neutralizing agent, and escapes at the last second like an action hero cliché. Unfortunately, the effects of the Scarecrow's magic mushroom still have an effect on Batman, and he begins to see his deceased best friend hunting him all around him. On his way to regroup with Commissioner Gordon, Batman learns that his time at Ace Chemicals was used to occupy the 3 central islands of Gotham by Scarecrow's militia. At the GCPD, Batman tells Commissioner Gordon about his daughter being taken, and they rush to the clock tower where she works and lives at. They enter through different doors while Batman secures the route in, and then the magic mushrooms make Batman hallucinate an inaccurate recreation of the killing joke. Because originally the Joker shot Barbara when she was caught off guard by surprise, and if she had enough time to react, then she should have fought back, not run away and invite the Joker to shoot her in the back. And originally, Commissioner Gordon was present there, and the Joker had more goons with him. In the clock tower, Batman decides to let Commissioner Gordon know about Barbara's Oracle identity, but he leaves misunderstanding the situation as Barbara working for Batman instead of with him. Batman doesn't get the chance to explain the misunderstanding before Gordon has already left, and now they are separately trying to find Barbara. Going through the CCTV footage, Batman learns what cars he was taken in and proceeds to follow the tire tracks to follow where Barbara was taken. To the Miyagani Island, where Batman cannot follow with the Batmobile. While working to lower the bridge, Batman is distracted by the Riddler, who blackmails him with Catwoman's life to come participate in his games. On his way there, Batman is ambushed by Man-Bat and takes a blood sample out of it for further investigation. Before getting the Batmobile on Miyagani Island, Batman charges to the Cyrus Pink orphanage to rescue Catwoman, but learns that she has a bomb collar on her and has to play Riddler's games to save her. To play them, he needs the Batmobile, which is still on Bleak Island. While still there, Batman rescues another firefighter and participates in one of Riddler's challenges to get Catwoman closer to her rescue. He then follows the Man-Bat's blood sample to a basement laboratory of Kirk and her Francine Langström. Learning of their tragedy, Batman goes through their research and manages to reproduce an antidote for when he comes across Man-Bat again. And then Batman decides to drive to the Miyagani Island, but on his way comes across another firefighter to rescue and another corpse left hanging with opera music. Driving over the bridge, Batman then comes across yet another firefighter to save, before he can finally carry on following Barbara's tracks. Those tracks lead him to a site of a car crash, which after analyzing, Batman ends up finding a scrambler device Barbara dropped for him to find. Since he can't use Oracle's services anymore, Batman forwards it to Lucius Fox at the Wayne Tower to work. While Lucius works on it, Batman heads back to the orphanage to participate in a 2-player challenge to further Catwoman's release. And after Catwoman is held closer to the release, Batman comes across a burning fire station, where Firefly comes out of when Batman activates the fire suppressant system. Despite managing to punch the pyromaniac a couple of times, Firefly manages to fly out of the range of Batman's fists. Frustrated and knowing that Lucius needs more time, Batman goes to deal with another one of Riddler's challenges, which ends up being on another underground racetrack. Catwoman is once again put one step closer to her release. And Batman is next sent to another challenge, where I decided to stop trying to do a no-glide run. Catwoman gets another step towards her release, and Batman has to join her for another 2-player challenge. Before heading back to the orphanage, Batman finds Azrael, who volunteers to become Batman's replacement should he die tonight. Batman gives a yes, no, maybe answer, where he puts Azrael through a quick gauntlet with more to come. By this point, Lucius has managed to decrypt the Scrambler device. Thanks to Lucius, Batman is able to track down Scarecrow's commander to the tunnels under the Miagani. Infiltrating the tunnels, Batman is eventually ambushed by the commander, who shoots all air out of him and then talks down to him again, like a son trying to usurp his father. Picking himself back up, Batman chases down the commander, but it turns out to be one of the lieutenants instead. Prioritizing on rescuing Barbara, Batman interrogates the lieutenant for information, and is led to Penguin, with Nightwing also joining to help him. Batman rescued another firefighter before going to meet with Nightwing, who gives Batman a gun that makes other guns not work. Together they hunt down the Penguin, who unfortunately manages to run away during a fight, but not before telling Batman that Scarecrow has been working with Simon Stagg on Founders Island. Batman sends Nightwing to go after Penguin, and goes himself to help Catwoman, but not before coming across another corpse left hanging with opera music. After having helped Catwoman get another notch off her collar, Batman heads to Founders Island on foot, since he can't get the Batmobile there due to the militia's strong occupation. Making it to the airships, Batman finds Simon Stagg, and learns that he was actively working for Scarecrow, but now has betrayed him. On board, Batman begins to come down from his earlier magic mushroom high, and I'll let my playthrough commentary explain how this part makes zero sense.
This sequence would be very interesting to see from anyone else's point of view than just Batman's, because Arkham Asylum did the Scarecrow illusions and fears so well that they actually also managed to ground them into some kind of reality with Batman's surroundings, so you could understand what was happening outside of the illusion and how it was built. But I have no idea what the hell is supposed to happen here! What is Simon Stagg seeing as Batman suddenly starts punching air? I mean, what is this supposed to be?
After coming back to his senses, Batman finds Stagg again, and forces him to tell what he has helped Scarecrow to create. Stagg tells him about a new Cloudburst distribution system, and then Batman leaves him in a test animal's cage, before moving to confront Scarecrow. Unfortunately, when entering the same room, Batman is once again exposed to Scarecrow's magic mushrooms, and after an encouraging episode from his deceased best friend, Scarecrow escapes with the Cloudburst. While flying away, Scarecrow dares Batman to go to his earlier safe house if he wants to rescue Barbara, and I'm just gonna let the scene play out here.
Taste it!
What's happening?
Barbara!
Yes, you see it now. The horror behind the glass. The monster that will be your end. Unless you pick up that gun and deny him. Don't listen.
Please, no!
Barbara! It's me!
I won't let you hit me.
Witnessing this hallucination and believing it is real gives Batman an epiphany about asking help from Poison Ivy, and tells Alfred to have Batplane scanning the 3 islands for Cloudburst. On his way to pick Poison Ivy up from the GCPD, Batman runs into Firefly again, but is unable to catch him. And the same thing happens with Man-Bat. At the GCPD, Batman runs into Jack Ryder, who never apparently became Creeper, and the Mad Hatter, who forces Batman to save his hostages before he can speak to Poison Ivy. After rescuing those hostages and throwing the Mad Hatter into his personal rabbit hole, Batman approaches Poison Ivy at the GCPD, and after some negotiations takes her to the Botanical Gardens in Miyagani Island. There Ivy can connect herself to the green, and pull new trees out of the ground to have their pollen combat Scarecrow's magic mushrooms. While letting Ivy work in connecting to the green, Batman goes to stop a bank robbery by Two-Face, and then sees a mobile SCP Foundation site that has fallen from the sky. With Nightwing's help, Batman is able to recontain SCP-682, who got loose during the fall. After that, they continued a father-son cooperation in trying to look for the Penguin. Before Ivy is ready to send Batman to look for another tree, he is approached by his sister-in-law Nyssa, and as family, they both take Ra's al Ghul to a hospice in the GCPD. After getting his final blessing from his father-in-law, Batman also finds another corpse hung up to opera music. Ultimately, Poison Ivy is able to find another ancient tree from Miyagani, and Batman helps her pulling it back out of the ground. With the trees up and ready to fight Scarecrow's magic mushrooms, Batman decides to attack Scarecrow's militia head-on by crippling their presence on Founders Island so that he can get the Batplane to fly over to scan and look for the Cloudburst. With Founders Island now available for the Batmobile, Batman moves to continue Riddler's next underground challenge to get Catwoman closer to her release, and then has to join her again in another two-player challenge. After Catwoman has been helped with, Batman goes to stop another bank robbery that Two-Face is trying to pull, tries to hunt down the Penguin, saves a firefighter, and then manages to capture Two-Face at the third bank he is trying to rob. Following the first successful arrest of the night, Batman heads to the Riddler's next underground racetrack. After struggling through that, the Riddler surprises both Batman and Catwoman with one more challenge, following which Selina is finally freed, but the Riddler resists the arrest by locking himself under the orphanage. Batman and Catwoman don't care, and leave the Riddler to live down there as the hikikomori he is. After having left Catwoman to enjoy her new freedom, Batman comes across Firefly again, and finally manages to apprehend the arsonist. When leaving the GCPD after that, Batman comes across Azrael once again, and gives him another gauntlet to run past with flying colors. Then Batman returns to the clock tower to access the Batcomputer to analyze the Batplane's scans. While doing that, Batman gets an alert from the movie studio safe house about Harley Quinn having broken in there to get the 4 Joker-infected people. Knowing that Robin can't handle them alone by himself, Batman rushes to return order back to the movie studios.
Hey, no one said I'd be working with no chicken.
Okay, okay.
I need to make a montage of this part when I make the review of this game.
While working with his third Robin, Scarecrow's magic mushroom starts affecting Batman and giving him waking nightmares of his second Robin's final moments at the hands of his former best friend. After dealing with the Yandere, the Brawler, and Jared Leto before Jared Leto as a Joker was a thing, all that's left is to restrain Harley and... Oh! The Immune was not immune, and killed the other 3 infected. And then he kills himself in mistaking the symptoms of Batman's high on Scarecrow's magic mushrooms as the same infection. This insinuation gives Batman another waking nightmare of how the Joker once sent him a tape of how Robin number 2 was killed, and not wanting the same thing to happen again, he puts Robin number 3 in a holding cell. Coming out of the movie studios, Batman has to next rescue Lucius from Hush, who has taken over the Wayne Tower, and he finds an iceberg and the river hosting Mr. Freeze. Once again, Batman has to rescue his frozen wife, unfreeze her, and then let the two sail away to a sunrise somewhere to spend the rest of their days together. Letting Victor and Nora go, Batman learns the Penguin's location from Nightwing, and working together manages to arrest him. Remembering how it went with Robin, Batman thanks Nightwing for his help, and politely asks him to get the hell out of Gotham. Leaving the Penguin at the GCPD, Batman is once again confronted by Azrael, who is given another gauntlet to pass through. While Azrael goes to prepare for his final test, Batman is able to find and capture the Man-Bat, give him the cure, and take him to recover at the GCPD. Then more opera music leads Batman to 2 more hung-up corpses, and having identified the victims from where they disappeared, Batman is led to the villain who caused this game to get an M rating, Professor Pig.
You're done here, Valentine. Let them go.
But Pig can fix you too. Make you perfect, like the others.
You're insane. And what are you? I'm here to stop you.
Fighting through Pug's Dolotrons and rescuing his would-be victims, Batman then takes Pug to the GCPD lockup with everyone else and then goes to rescue another firefighter. Then Poison Ivy begins to fight Scarecrow's militia and reveals her location to them, so Batman has to go rescue her. But before getting the chance to return her to the GCPD, the cloudburst goes off. Thanks to Poison Ivy's efforts, only 3 islands are now covered in fear gas from Scarecrow's magic mushrooms, and since the Batmobile doesn't work in all that gas, Batman goes to get cloudburst-proofed parts from Simon's tag.
I've got so much money, even Batman won't be able to stop us. I've got so much money, even Batman won't be able to stop us. I've got so much money, even Batman won't be able to stop us.
Stag gives Batman a Nimbus cell that helps the Batmobile, and after a painfully stressful installation, finds another ancient tree from Poison Ivy to repel the gas out of the city's atmosphere. Scarecrow's militia commander then dares Batman to come face him and his tank with Cloudburst on the bleak island.
The explosion disabled the main tank. Now I can get close and concentrate fire on the cloudburst.
Finally! Taking out the commander, however, again exposes Batman to the gas, and he ends up tripping balls so badly that the commander manages to run away. With the cloudburst now destroyed, Batman returns to Poison Ivy so she can disperse the fear gas. It takes all she has to do that, and then it's R.I.P. Pamela. Having seen enough death for the night, Batman rescues another firefighter he comes across, and then it's time for Azrael's final exam.
Worthies, etc. can complete the challenge and avoid getting hit.
I will not fail you again. I am not worthy. Forgive me. Next time, I will be victorious. I have no one to blame but myself. Next time, I will be victorious. Forgive me. I am not worthy.
In passing the test, Batman holds on giving Azrael a grade, so Azrael follows Batman to learn Batman was never going to make him his successor, but rather to study who he is. Azrael's real name is Michael Lane, and he has been brainwashed by the order he serves. Learning the truth, Michael leaves to teach them about accountability. After telling another useful ally to leave Gotham, Batman rescues more firefighters before heading to the GCPD communications room, where Gordon has been located on the SWAT channel. According to him, Gordon has managed to find Scarecrow on Founders Island in a shopping mall. There, Batman has to fight through a wave of militia soldiers before facing off against the commander in round 2. Whoa, 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 whoa! After playing Minesweeper, the commander manages to corner Batman with the Batmobile into a dead end, and right before ramming in for the killing blow, he calls Batman Bruce. Batman doesn't get the chance to ask how the commander knows his name, as he needs to evacuate from the Batmobile just before it gets destroyed. Now on foot, Batman is eventually able to find Commissioner Gordon, and is then faced with the militia's commander again. After having just been called by his real name and been roasted by him all night, Batman now asks him who he is, and the commander unmasks himself to reveal himself as Jason Peter Todd. aka Robin number 2. Batman tries to explain having believed Robin number 2 to have been killed by the Joker, but Jason is so filled with misplaced anger that Batman is forced to fight him with restraint.
Jason, I can help you.
There's no helping me!
Joker got to you. I know what it's like.
3, 2, 1.
Stand down, Robin.
Don't call me that! It's not who I am!
You're Robin, Jason. You're not what he made you.
Stop! Stop talking to me!
Confronting his wayward son, Batman is forced to face the fact that he never tried to look for Jason after he was taken, and to bring his body home for burial. For this, Batman apologizes to his son for having been a poor father, and Jason runs away without trying to kill him. Having lost his son once more, Batman goes to release Commissioner Gordon from his restraints, and they both head to the rooftop where Scarecrow is supposed to be. On the elevator ride, they make some form of peace with each other from their last meeting. On the roof, we get another plot twist, where Barbara never killed herself and was used to blackmail Gordon to lure Batman into a trap. Threatening Barbara's life, Scarecrow tells Gordon to shoot Batman off the room, and then pushes Barbara behind him anyway.
You don't scare me.
It's okay to be afraid.
She could have fought back as the former Batgirl, as she apparently did manage to get her hands freed from the being tied to her wheelchair. But this would have prevented us from seeing Batman do yet another freefall rescue. Lucius then sends Batman another Batmobile to drive Barbara to the GCPD, so she can resume her duties at Oracle. Unfortunately, her access to the clock tower is sabotaged by the still active militia, and Batman goes to deal with them. On the way there, however, he finds Jack Ryder gone with a note saying he has gone to investigate a doomsday cult led by Deacon Blackfire.
Who dares disrupt this ritual?
So before heading to the clock tower, Batman has to go rescue the news anchor from the crazy preacher. With that side quest dealt with, Batman heads to the clock tower to deal with the militia and restore Oracle's access to her own systems, while also learning that in Jason's new absence, Deathstroke has risen as the new commander. Batman tries to hunt Slade down while Barbara works to restore and connect her system to the GCPD, but only manages to find this funny glitch and the remaining firefighters.
This is your seat, Chief.
Riding into Batman's car. My little girl's gonna be jealous.
And now that pretty much everyone has been taken to the GCPD, Scarecrow decides to send the entire militia's forces to attack the police station. Batman has to fight a huge number of militia drones on the streets with the Batmobile and Oracle hacking into them. When reaching the rooftop fight, this would have been a good spot to have a diverging moments in having Catwoman, Nightwing, and even Azrael come join Batman in helping him fight the militia as a reward if their side quests have been finished by this point. Once the attack has been repelled, Oracle informs Batman that Scarecrow has been at the movie studios, and reaching there, Batman learns that Robin number 3 has been taken captive along with Commissioner Gordon. Scarecrow gives Batman an ultimatum to surrender himself if he wants Robin and Gordon to survive in his mercy. Before Batman does so, he decides to first disable the rest of the militia and bring in Deathstroke in a boss fight that makes the one in Arkham Origins look even better than it originally was. Batman is forced to leave behind his utility belt and is again exposed to Scarecrow's magic mushrooms that make him trip balls during his transport to the old Arkham Asylum that has been closed and condemned for the last 2 years and 3 months. Scarecrow lectures to Batman about fear before forcing Commissioner Gordon to unmask Batman in front of his live streaming web cameras to let everyone watching his stream to see that he is really Bruce Wayne. Scarecrow then pumps more of his fear gas into Batman that he eventually grows immune to, and is able to tell Joker posthumously that their friendship is over. Jason then returns to free Batman from his restraints, and Scarecrow is given his own drugs and then finally taken into custody.
He's strong. He's going to be okay.
Look after him, Jim. Look after them all. You've been a good friend. The best. I could ask for. You were there at the beginning, and now you get to see how it ends.
So Bruce Wayne, huh? If it's all the same to you, I'll stick to Batman.
With his identity now exposed to the entire world, Batman tells Alfred to prepare for a contingency plan while he still has the Riddler to arrest.
Why, hello there, Bruce Wayne. A noble effort, Batman, but did you really believe that I, the Riddler, would fall for such a nakedly implausible charade? You expect me to accept that I've invested time and agonizing time again by some spoiled trust fund-fueled hobbyist? I don't believe it. Why, I refuse to believe it. It's not true. Now, Batman, where were we?
Let's talk about Riddler.
Okay, don't hurt me! So, you solved them all. Well. What a smart little detective you turned out to be. My one mistake has always been very slightly overestimating just how stupid you are. Come back to the orphanage, detective, and I'll deconstruct you like a flimsy philosophical position.
After spending his remaining 3 AM to 4 AM convincing the Riddler to come out of his room, Batman goes to confront that hikikomori. Catwoman now comes to help Batman in beating that sad little man and get some well-deserved payback for using her as a hostage.
Get up, you damn machines! It was perfect! My perfect victory! You think you can defeat my creation?
Thanks, Selina, for the daring last-minute rescue. It was very heroic.
It was under control.
Sure it was. Now be a good damsel and bestow a kiss on your gallant hero.
Once Riddler is put on the truck of the Batmobile, Batman and Catwoman share a non-romantic farewell kiss. Batman then throws the Riddler into the same cell at the GCPD as Two-Face, Penguin, Firefly, Professor Pig, Deacon Blackfire, Deathstroke, and Scarecrow. With all the major threats now defeated, Batman gives Alfred the go-ahead for the Nightfall Protocol, where he leaves his cowl behind to a self-destructing bat signal, as Commissioner Gordon leads the GCPD to take back the city.
It's done. Gotham is safe. Thank you, Bruce. For everything. Goodbye, Jim.
Bruce returns to the Wayne Manor, where he ignores the members of the press outside his gates and heads into his home to meet up with Alfred. The Wayne Manor then blows up as Bruce apparently fakes his own death, and then the final game completion cutscene reveals Commissioner Gordon as the new mayor of Gotham, and this what the fuck moment I foreshadowed was coming in my Arkham Origins video.
Okay, let's get the obvious parts out of the way first. As the latest installation of this series, Batman Arkham Knight is the best looking and working from the technical standpoint. And 6 to 7 years after its release, the PC port has been fixed rather well, at least for when I played it. Batman's fighting, gliding, and overall mobility were filed into such perfection that I eventually decided not to bother with another no-glide run and played the game as it was meant to be played. The Batmobile also did not end up being the burden I remembered it being, and heard from multiple other people complaining about it being. Although some button changes were a little confusing at the beginning, such as the original Detective Vision button and the new Entering the Batmobile button now being the same shoulder buttons, and my Grand Theft Auto custom brain remembering gas and brake buttons. Here the gas button is what it usually is as in the other driving games,
but the brake button is the same Batman's punching button, and I constantly kept turning the Batmobile into a tank when thinking I was hitting the brakes. Story-wise, however, the game begins to start showing its flaws. The first part where the problems begin to rise their ugly heads are at the Ace Chemicals when Scarecrow escapes from Batman by threatening Barbara, and neither Batman or even Alfred thought to call Robin at the movie studios to go make sure she's safe. There is some acknowledgement to this later on, but it comes across as patched in.
You had Featherhead slaving away when he could have been saving Barbara!
The other titular character of the game's other antagonist was also something that didn't work very well when you start to think long enough about it, and that is why I only referred to the Arkham Knight as the militia commander in the recap. The game's developers and the marketing team obviously wanted him to be a mystery and the revelation of him being Jason to be a big plot twist. But if you only know about Batman from these games, you are more than likely to be confused at who Jason Todd is. And if you are a comic book reading Batman fan, you are going to be confused at the off-screen changes to his death as Robin and return to life as Red Hood. Originally in the Death in the Family, Jason died in Ethiopia looking for his mother, who happened to be indebted to the Joker, and in poor lack of judgment, she sold her son as Robin to the Joker, who then killed them both. Batman was too late to arrive at the scene and save either of them, and in the end, brought Jason back to Gotham to bury him with his mother close to home. And after circumstances around the Infinite Crisis when Jason was brought back to life, Jason was only angry at Bruce for not avenging his death, while forgiving him for not being able to save him.
I don't know what cloud your judgment worse, your guilt or your antiquated sense of morality. Bruce, I forgive you for not saving me. But why? Why on God's earth is he still alive?
In this game, the Joker died in a previous installment, and Batman pretty much let the world believe he killed the Joker without even trying to clear his name of being an accused murderer. So naturally, Sefton Hill, Ian Ball and Martin Lancaster with Jeff Johns had to find a way to go around that. And so in this continuity, Jason was kidnapped by the Joker, and he was kept hidden from Batman in Arkham Asylum for over a year. Then the Joker staged Jason's death to fool Batman into letting him go and move on while Jason was kept in captive torture until he escaped during the events of Batman Arkham Asylum. And that was all told in a tie-in comic, when it would have been better if it was told in the DLC episodes released after the game's release. The Batgirl DLC episode, Matter of Family, could be seen as missed opportunity in this regard. Unlike the other DLC episodes, it is set before the events of Batman Arkham Asylum, and it doesn't really have much going for it outside of being longer than the others. All it would have taken for it to stand on its own would have been to make the Robin appearing in it be Jason Todd instead of Tim Drake, and have the story end with the Joker escaping with Jason as his hostage. This would have been the needed less is more to give the bare minimum of Jason's backstory that would have hit harder when replaying the main game. And then there is the fact that Batman doesn't even get to talk to Jason at all before the Nightfall Protocol happens, which is a rather poor direction to take considering how his character was built up and then dropped after his revelation as the Arkham Knight. Outside of the DLC episodes, the game also got 4 additional side missions in the Season of Infinity pack, which I covered in the recap. They ultimately could have been better if set before or after the main game as context or closer to how the game ended. During my playthrough, I also came to believe that Batman was never really infected from the Joker's blood like the other infected were. Because unlike them, Batman actually got to drink the cure and got himself uninfected all the way in Arkham City. The extra cell could have been a spare one, or if one more infected was found. And then the revelation of the existence of the infected only comes after Batman is exposed to Scarecrow's fear gas. The fear gas's effects could so be in making Batman so believe he is still infected, and what he sees as a Joker is really just his fears and insecurities taking the form of the Joker. The game also goes out of its way to make everything be seen from Batman's point of view, hallucinations and everything, so what we see might not be what is really happening. For example, when Harley Quinn attacks the movie studios for the infected held there is the hallucination of Jason's fake death that gets Batman out of the cell as if he never entered it. Harley also shows no acknowledgement, denial or acceptance to Batman also being infected and turning into a Joker like the others. So it could be assumed that Henry Adams' suicide could be another hallucination where Batman sees and hears what the fear gas is telling him to see and hear. With these hallucinations being the motivation for Batman to lock Robin in the fifth cell. The reason why Batman stops having these hallucinations of the Joker could so be that Scarecrow keeps gassing him with the fear gas, and Batman eventually grows immune to it after each exposure. None of this is either confirmed or denied in the story itself, but enough is there to make theories. In the end, there is also something I have been bothered with for the last few years when it comes to all the allies Batman still has in the game, whose presence could be seen as a missed opportunity. When it comes to the siege on the GCPD, it would have been innovative for the game to have Nightwing, Catwoman and Azrael come help Batman in defending the police station, and then help the game have better multiple endings this way. Batman could still surrender to the Scarecrow to save Commissioner Gordon and Robin, but Nightwing could have followed his prisoner transport to the condemned Arkham Asylum. There, he could have helped Oracle get connected to hack into Scarecrow's setup and make it so that Batman's unmasking is not really happening to anyone outside of the old asylum. This is something that Witcher 3 The Wild Hunt did, coming out at the same time as Batman Arkham Knight, with the Battle of Kaer Morhen, and how many allies you could get there to help Geralt. Both games could be remembered with the same level of greatness if Batman Arkham Knight had done something like this, instead of just making the final cutscene be locked behind 243 Riddler challenges. And the final ending with that what the fuck moment still leaves me apathic to the series going forward. We are likely never going to learn who or what this is in the post-Batman Gotham. Unless Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League goes out of its way to explain what is going on in Gotham and the Bat family, while Task Force X is busy trying to kill a Brainiac-controlled Batman-less Justice League. Still, going through all these Arkham games again has been an experience, and I want to thank all the people who kept me company during my playthrough streams. This has been a way to get me through the post-holiday blues during a sober January. If you have made it this far into the video, please remember to like the video, comment your thoughts down below, share the video for more people to see, and subscribe for what other videos I will have coming in the future. Also, ding the bell for future streams when I have decided what to play next, and may your heart be your guiding key.